Since Pakistan is an ex-British colony, a number of language debates sorry थोड़ी गलती होगी language policy कहना था several language policy debate discussion जी Since Pakistan is an ex-British colony, a lot of language policy debates and discussions in Pakistan have revolved around English. In this module, we'll take a look at the status of English in Pakistan. As we all know, Pakistan is a multilingual country with 6 major and 58 minor languages. At the time of independence, in 1947, Urdu was declared the national language and English the official language of the country. The reason behind declaring English the official language was the government machinery was already working in English in the undivided India. And it was a little difficult, in fact impossible, for the entire government machinery to turn to Urdu immediately. So it was decided that the Urdu language will continue to function in the domains of government till such time that Urdu was ready to replace it. However, it never happened. It did not happen because Pakistan had inherited a dual system of education, and this system of education was actually introduced by the British in the undivided India. The British had introduced these two systems of education, one English medium and the other vernacular medium, for their own political reasons. The reason was that the English was reserved for the rich and the Indian elite, and the vernacular medium education was for people who were ordinary people, for the masses. The idea behind educating the Indian elite in English was to make sure that they were loyal to the crown. The idea was to anglicize them, to make them sympathetic towards the British culture, including language, and to encourage them to, or make them want to adopt and use the British culture and language. So in order to anglicize the Indian youth, especially the elite, the British had introduced this two-way system of education, one in the English medium, part of it in the English medium, and the second part in vernacular medium. Because of this anglicizing effort of the British in India, we see that a class of people emerged which is often referred to as brown Englishmen. So as a result of this anglicization of the Indian elite, we have several brown Englishmen around us, especially in those days. They are the people who in terms of race are brown, not white, but in terms of aspirations, desires, ambitions, they are very English. So the result of this dual system of education was an anglicized Indian youth who was completely loyal to the British Crown. After the independence, this dual system of education continued. It was because the military and bureaucracy had wanted it to work this way. And the plea that was taken was that this English medium system of education provided the bureaucracy with the civilian administrative elite. The idea actually was to strengthen, to continue the power that the ruling elite enjoyed over the masses, and part of this power was a result of their knowledge and use of English. So the elite in Pakistan at the time of independence was considered the elite for several other reasons. but also because of their knowledge of English. So the knowledge of English was in those days, and because of the British policy in undivided India, was limited to the rich and the bureaucracy, the bureaucratic elite and the military, which in those days comprised again the people from the upper socioeconomic level. The Urdu medium institutions were supposed to provide the elite with an underclass of clerks and literate servants. So the idea behind teaching the masses with Urdu medium system of education was only to make sure that the bureaucracy and the military had continuous supply of clerks and illiterate servants. English, however, has emerged as a neutral language. Despite a lot of political pressure, periodic efforts to replace English with Urdu have all ended in failure. The reason behind the failure of these efforts by different governments over a period of time, in fact, from 1949 till the present day, is because there's a conflict between the government policy and the public opinion. The government wants to turn to Urdu because of the political pressure, which has several reasons. One is that Urdu was linked with Muslim identity in the undivided India, and there are several political parties and political groups in Pakistan who want the government to assert their Muslim identity more than anything else. But the public, the general public, have by now realized that knowing English is the key to success, is one factor which can help in their upward mobility, and therefore the public is not really ready to turn to Urdu and leave behind English. There have been several language riots in Pakistan as well. There were very large-scale language riots in the 1960s, when some students of the Punjab University had rioted against the privileging of English, and they had shown their grievances over the fact that people and the youth with better knowledge of English, all the opportunities were reserved for them, and the people who were struggling to rise and who were from masses or from Urdu medium background were not given many opportunities. So there were these riots which were quite bloody and caused some deaths as well. There were similar language riots in Sindh when Sindhi medium schools etc. were changed to Urdu medium. Because of all these controversies and language riots, English has emerged as a neutral language because it is not linked with any particular ethnicity, and English is not really a language of any religion. Though Urdu is linked with Muslim identity, English is not really linked with any religion. So because of all these factors, English has emerged as a neutral language, and this kind of neutrality is favorable to a multilingual, multicultural country like Pakistan. So because of all these reasons, the prestige that the people who know English enjoy, the opportunities which are reserved for people who know English better, and the neutral aspect which is linked with English, because of all these reasons, English enjoys a very important place in Pakistan.